So when I ask you to think about a gaming phone, what comes to mind? Maybe the Razer phone or Xiaomi's Black Shark phone, but not anymore because Asus has just cleaned the plate. They've just, all those phones, gone. It's just all about the ROG phone.
Wow! Isn't it incredible? Thank you!
So I mean, just look at it. It looks crazy. It's nuts. It doesn't look like a normal smartphone. You've got this sexy angular design at the back. You've got this little cutout with all the vents. And did I mention that there's a freaking RGB ROG logo at the back? That's just crazy. I can't think of a phone with an RGB logo because, I mean, it's a gaming phone, right? So obviously it's gonna have RGB. But despite all of these design quirks, it's actually a very comfortable phone to hold because the back is nicely curved, so you get the feel of an expensive normal flagship smartphone, but the absolute crazy looks of a proper gaming device, which I think is a very nice balance. But gaming's not just about looks, right? Because if I ask you to think about like a gaming PC or a gaming laptop, what comes to mind? It's enthusiast-grade hardware, right? And the best of the best that money can buy. And the best part about the ROG phone is that it has that in spades. So if you talk about processor, it has a Snapdragon 845 processor that's clocked at 2.96 GHz, which is nuts. It's got 8 gigs of RAM. It's got up to 512 gigs of internal storage, which I think only a handful of devices have ever had that. It has a USB-C port with fast charging. It has a 3.5mm headphone jack, and I think the most gorgeous thing about it is its screen. So it has a 6-inch display that is an AMOLED panel and has 90Hz refresh rate and a 1 millisecond response time, which is just so amazing. I can't describe what it's like to swipe around with that screen because everything is so buttery, so responsive, and because it's an AMOLED panel, it's very vibrant, it's really sharp, it's just awesome to look at. And if we're talking about battery, I mean, if you're going to be using a gaming phone, you're going to want to play games for a long time, right? So it's got a 4000 mAh battery, which is something not many flagship level smartphones even have. That's just crazy. Remember when Razer said that they had to ditch the 3.5mm headphone jack because they wanted to fit a 4000 mAh battery in their phone? Well, this one has a 4000 mAh battery and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Oh, and obviously it also has a pair of kick-ass stereo speakers. They're really loud, they've got a really nice full sound, and they're proper stereo speakers. They're not just earpiece plus bottom firing loudspeaker combo. It's a proper set of front-facing stereo speakers and they sound great. But gaming also isn't just about great specs. You also want a special kind of control system. You want intuitive controls that help you play the game better, right? And what does the ROG phone have that sets it apart from your run-of-the-mill flagship smartphone? Well, 2 words: air triggers. Actually, it might be 1 word, but it's air triggers. If you've heard the name triggered before, you may know what I'm talking about. So if you've used a console controller, you may recognize that the console controllers have those R1, L1 buttons. Yeah, you have that on this ROG phone. Only it's not a button, it's capacitive. It's a touch interface, so you can touch 2 specific corners on the phone and it will act like proper triggers. You can map this to games that support that, and then you can use these extra controls for whatever you want. But the best part is those controls, they don't only work in-game. You can also use them in your normal day-to-day phone stuff, where you can have it function as a shutter button. I think that was one of the things that was the coolest thing that I saw when they showed it off. And it also enables the phone to have a squeeze function, where you can squeeze the device, and if you hold it for 3 seconds, it engages a gaming mode, where everything turns red and everything looks more badass. But that's not all. Yes, that is still not all of it, because the ROG phone has a side-mounted USB-C port. Who does that? It's a side-mounted USB-C port because most games are played in landscape. So if you think about games that are played in landscape and then you have to stick your cable in at the bottom and then you want to hold it, it's kind of weird, it's in the way, and if you want to stick your headphone jack in, it's like, oh, what a mess, right? This solves that. That awesome side-mounted USB-C port. It's just something that should have been so obvious, but no one else did. So not only do they have a 3.5mm headphone jack, they have two USB-C ports, which is just nuts. But that is still not all. Yes, this crazy gaming phone has more to offer, because what is a gaming device without its peripherals, right? Well, ASUS has thought of that, and there will be a whole bunch of gaming-centric peripherals that will launch with the phone. The first one is a DS-style controller. So you don't know if you're familiar with the Nintendo DS, but it's that console, that handheld console with two screens. So what happens is you buy the console, it comes with a screen at the bottom, and then you slot your phone in at the top, and then you can play games that support dual screen capabilities. You can also play two games at the same time if you're, that talented at playing games. That screen functions by itself, but it draws power from the phone, so your phone will be powering that screen. But there is also a 6000 mAh battery built into the controller, and there is an SD card slot, and there is a USB Type-C port that you can charge with. I'm not very sure what the SD card slot is. Maybe you can load up some movies, but we didn't get to test that because that device that we had was just a prototype. Still, the possibilities are endless. Also, did I mention that they replace your air triggers with actual physical triggers? Awesome. The new controller actually is more ergonomic to hold because they have like the little lumps at the bottom that help you grip to it, like a PS4 controller. Yeah, so that's a really nice way to sort of amp up your gaming experience. But if handheld isn't your thing, it's too pedestrian for you, you want a keyboard, a mouse, you can have that too, because there is a full-grade desktop dock. So unlike the Samsung DeX, which kind of works in the same way, this one docks your phone in landscape mode because it's gaming, dude. It's better. So you can hook up a proper keyboard, you can hook up a proper mouse, you can hook up a monitor. There are a whole bunch of ports at the back, including a LAN port, so you can have that lag-free wired gaming experience. The best part about that though is that with the dock, you can actually remap every key on your keyboard to press a certain spot in the screen. So if you want to play a game a certain way, you can do it the way you like it. You don't have to conform to developers or whatever API settings that they come up with. You can actually remap the keyboard to tap a specific spot in your screen, which I think just solves a lot of problems with customizability, right? Finally, you've got the controller setup that ASUS developed with GameVice, where it snaps onto the side of your phone, and it kind of reminds me of the Nintendo Switch controller, where they strap onto the side and then you have a D-pad here and you have a joystick on the other side, so you get to play with more physical tactile controls, which I think is a great thing. But you can also cast your screen to your TV through a Y-Gig hub. So it's cast wirelessly. So the big problem with wireless display casting is the latency, but ASUS says that with this setup, they managed to cut down latency to just 20 milliseconds, which is pretty good. So it should be able to give you a pretty reasonable gaming experience. However, all of these accessories, they will come sold separately. Probably ASUS hasn't really spilled the details on that yet, but there may be gamer bundles or something like that. But basically you have to pay money for these things. They didn't leave you hanging though. They did give you something with your phone. So there is one bundled accessory and it's called the Aero Fan. It's basically a fan that can strap onto the back of your phone and give you more cooling power. It's a fan, so it sucks air in to the back and exhausts it on your phone. So it cools your phone down during extended gaming sessions. It has an RGB light on it, which is awesome. You can control it in software. It's just, the whole shebang. I like this little extra detail that I don't know if it was intentional or not, but when the thing is strapped to it, because it's sucking air in and blowing it out your phone, it's actually cooling your fingers as well, so they don't get sweaty and disturb your gaming experience. I think that's a nice little touch. I'm glad they included it because it just takes the ROG phone to the next level. But don't get me wrong, because the ROG phone isn't a perfect phone. Personally, the thing that I don't like about it the most is its software, because it's not running stock Android, and I'm a huge stock Android fan. But if you're not a stock Android fan, probably that won't matter to you. It's running on a skin version of Zen UI, so it has a whole bunch of gaming aesthetics with like angles and lights, and then it has its own gaming software that lets you control fan speed, lets you tweak the RGB on the back of your phone. It also lets you sync your phone up with Aura Sync, so you can match your phone to your Asus motherboard and all its RGB goodies and have everything synced up nicely on your desk. However, as awesome as the Asus ROG phone is, the question on everyone's mind will be, is there a market for a gaming smartphone? Well, my answer is, it doesn't matter. You see, the Asus ROG phone isn't just a gaming smartphone. It still functions really well as a normal flagship smartphone. For all its design quirks and all the craziness that goes on with the device, actually using it, actually picking it up and holding it in your hand and using it as just a normal flagship smartphone is not difficult at all. It's not some crazy cumbersome thing that you have to live with if you want a gaming phone. It still functions perfectly well as a flagship smartphone. You see, if I ask you to think about gaming phones of the past, I don't know, maybe things like the Nokia N-Gage may come up, right? That phone was crazy. It was a completely different shape and size to a lot of the other phones, a lot of the other mainstream phones that people were buying. So if you wanted to use the N-Gage, you were probably going to use it as a gaming phone because you had to put up with the size, the bulk, the way you answer calls with it. It's just a lot of hassle, and all that hassle isn't here with the ROG phone. You see, the ROG phone still works as a great flagship smartphone because it has the kind of specs you want. You have a great, crisp, responsive screen, which honestly might be one of the best screens I've seen for a normal smartphone. You've got a great premium body that feels expensive and comfortable, but also not too big or too small. You've got great performance with that Snapdragon 845 CPU, with that 8 gigs of RAM, with that 512 gigs of internal storage. And then you've got a big honking battery powering everything. Oh, did I mention that there's stereo speakers, something that's slowly disappearing from proper flagship smartphones who resort to earpiece combos? You know, it's got fast charging, it's got all the excellent flagship features that you would want from a proper flagship smartphone. So I don't think this phone is just targeted towards gamers. I think that's the wrong approach. I think it's a great phone that is primarily for hardcore gamers, maybe, but that anyone can use. You and I can use. People who are not hardcore gamers can use this phone. The key thing about it is its price. How much will they cost? How much will they price it at? That's the real question. If it's priced right, I don't see why a normal, non-heavy hardcore gamer wouldn't want to pick this up over a lot of the other phones in the market, because I think it's a pretty great phone. And those are my thoughts about the Asus ROG phone. Let me know what you guys think of this brand new flagship phone from ROG and Asus. Do you like it? Do you think you would buy it? Is it more attractive than like a Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus or a Huawei P20 Pro? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. For this video, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on the little bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever we post a brand new video. If you want to know what kind of gear we use to film videos like these, the links will be in the video description. And this is it for me for this video. I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya!